Welcome everyone back to I'm Nature. I'm your host, Brian Porter, and this evening we have one heck of a good show. Actually, I think this might be the biggest show we've ever had. After many, many months of running around and trying to find someone who's a key organizer in this incredible demonstration, one of the best we've seen in decades at the Standing Rock in North Dakota, I have Linda Black Elk. She's a member of the Catawba Nation. She's one of the original organizers of this demonstration. She was just telling me offline that she's in charge of the medical services available to people attending this incredible movement. She's married to Luke Black Elk, who's the great-grandson of Black Elk, who's a famous medicine man for the tribe. She's also a professor and teaches ethnobotany. Do I have that right so far, Linda?
That's all pretty much correct. I wouldn't say I'm in charge of anything really, but.
Oh, okay. Well, you're connected with the medical services.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's basically a large group of people who are organizing and helping out with this incredible event. But they do have certain designated positions, I guess, is the way I understand it. But I also have David William here, who's my resident expert on natural law and I guess hidden history. And David, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm glad to see everyone is here. This is exciting to me.
Yeah, it is. It is exciting because we're going to introduce some ideas and get Linda's sort of opinion on them and feedback, and because we are concerned about the fact that for centuries Native people have been using the bar and the legal system to fight their battles, and we David and I at least agree that it's you can't win when they control the defense and the opposition. But before we get into those sort of issues, I just wanted to ask Linda to talk about how this whole thing started, when she got involved, and where it's at now. So let's just start with how this whole thing started.
Okay, great. Well, I'm super happy to be here. And I just want to say one quick thing. I was actually supposed to be on this same show, but on Saturday with Kira Young, and I totally screwed up my schedule and I wasn't able to be on her show last Saturday. And so I just wanted on air to apologize to her and to all of her listeners and to say that I'm really sorry for dropping that ball and not being there. So, but just getting to the issue of the pipeline, basically, we found out in February that the pipeline was going to go through. The thing is, the Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, had not yet approved the permit for Dakota Access to cross the Missouri River just north of the Standing Rock Reservation. And so we started talking to the Corps of Engineers and telling them all of the many reasons why we did not think that they should allow the pipeline to cross the Missouri River, and that, they shouldn't permit the pipeline to cross any public lands or Corps lands at all. But it ended up that they didn't listen to our take on the issues, and they approved the permit anyway. And so that is when LaDonna Brave Bull Allard, started allowing people to, she's a tribal member, and she started allowing people to camp on her land. And it started off with just a couple of people, 2 people really. And now it's grown to about 7,000 people at times. So we're there to protect the water, but that's not it. That's not the only issue. It's true that the area where the pipeline will cross does come very close to our current water intake. And even our water intake will soon move, but it will still have the potential to impact the quality of our water should there be a leak. And what we always say is it's not if a pipeline leaks, it's when it leaks, because they all do eventually. And if that were to take place, it would actually not just impact our drinking water on the Standing Rock Reservation, but it would impact the drinking water for millions, upwards of 18 millions of people downstream. We all know the Missouri River is very connected to major water sources in the United States. So there's that issue, the issue of water, but there's also the issue of sacred sites. The pipeline crosses some very important sacred sites, including burial sites that Dakota Access has completely ignored. And in fact, right in front of a group of hundreds of protesters, Dakota Access bulldozed some burial sites right in front of us, just bulldozed them over and destroyed a lot of these sacred sites. So that happened. And
Okay,
then,
Linda, can I just stop you for a second? Because Dave,
please.
we're getting a lot of noise, I think, from your end. If you could,
Mine?
when you're moving stuff around.
No, you know what that is? That's a little, the kid's gerbil in a little wheel. Hang on, I'm going to move it out of the room.
Okay, it sounded like you were moving your mic a lot. It's kind of going over what Linda's saying a bit. So, okay, sorry to stop you there, Linda.
No,
So
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I'm trying to condense months and months and months of action into just a couple of minutes. So
well,
that's what's happening.
we have lots of time. You don't
Okay.
have to be brief with anything. I've got someone already wanting to call in, and Gerald, Whitehorse,
Okay.
standing. But Gerald, I'm just going to say to Gerald that Gerald, maybe later in the show, but right now we want to get we want to get on top of what's going on there. And Linda's a very busy person, and I want to focus on her info at this point in time. Maybe in the second hour we'll let Gerald join the conversation. Okay. All right, Linda.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that well, I'm gonna stay at this point in the story a little bit, and that is that for instance, back I think it was September 3rd, we were in camp, and camp is amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible to see all of these thousands of people from all of these different nations, people of different religions, different spirituality, people from just all different backgrounds coming together. And so we sit in camp and we sing and we visit, and it's just an amazing and beautiful experience. And so I want to tell all your listeners that if you get a chance, come out to the Sacred Stone camps, because we are making history, and you do want to be able to say, years from now, you want to be able to say that you were there, because it is just such an incredible experience. So around September 3rd, we were in camp, and some folks started going around announcing that they needed warriors to get to the front line because Dakota Access was digging. Now, it was very strange because just the day before, there's a gentleman who's a tribal member named Tim Mentz. He had filed papers with the state of North Dakota, letting the state of North Dakota know that he had done a survey of the area and found a significant number of sacred sites, including burials. And other sites, very important sites that are important to the Lakota people and culture. He mapped those sites, and he gave all of that information to the state of North Dakota. The very next day, we ran up to the front line, and we found Dakota Access bulldozing those exact same sacred sites. They had at least 3 bulldozers who were just running over the burials of our ancestors. And I'm not a member of this tribe. I'm a member of a tribe out east, but one of my aunties was there, and it was her relatives, literally her great grandparents, who had been buried there. And she let out a wail, a cry that was so agonized that I still hear it. I still hear her crying in my dreams, because she saw what Dakota Access was doing to the remains of her relatives. And it was just so painful for all of us. So we were standing on the other side of the public side of this fence, watching these sacred sites be destroyed. And
I'm
one
still
of the
getting
women.
noise, David. If you could mute, why don't you just mute until I bring you into the conversation?
There's no noise here.
No? It sounds
No.
like somebody's listening in then.
No, there's no. I'm
Are
just.
you hearing anything at your end, Linda?
Yeah, I really hear it a lot. I'm yeah, it can't be here. I'm in a room completely by myself.
Oh, well.
Well, I'm all alone. There's no one here.
It's probably
Huh.
one of our friends in the alphabet agencies listening in on the call. Okay.
It could be. I have no doubt that that's what it could be. Um,
Yeah, well, sorry, folks, if you're hearing any, it's not us. It's not at any one of our ends that this noise is
so
coming in.
strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was happening is these sacred sites were getting bulldozed, and we were hundreds of people standing on the public side of the fence. All of the sudden, one of the women decided that she just could not watch this happen. So she crossed the fence and was grabbed, just very violently grabbed by Dakota Access Security. That scared a lot of people. So about 3 other people crossed the fence to protect her. And at that same moment, a gentleman crossed the fence and went and stood in front of one of the bulldozers, and he was suddenly plowed down by one of the other security, literally tackled to the ground by one of the security, Dakota Access Security. And that at that same moment, a gentleman walked up to the fence, and even though we were on public property on the public side of the fence, he started wafting all of us with pepper spray on the public side of the fence. And that is when everyone just said, enough is enough. And so everyone crossed the fence. The fence went down, flattened. We crossed the fence. We stopped the bulldozers from destroying the sacred sites any further. And we drove. We were attempting to drive Dakota Access back when they brought out really vicious attack dogs. There were Doberman. There were German Shepherds and Cane Corsos who were just viciously attacking us. And those dogs actually had no. The poor things really didn't have any good training either, because the dog that came to attack me all of a sudden turned and started attacking a Dakota Access employee. So, it was just without any thought. They just started spraying everyone with pepper spray and attacking us with attack dogs, all for just trying to protect the ancestors, protecting these sacred sites. And so that was, just none of us could believe that had happened. It was a really, really difficult day, a very emotional day. We did stop construction that day, but it was, it was just one of the saddest moments. The fact that our governments are allowing things like this to happen to peaceful resistors is just really indicative of where this country has gone and where the government has gone, and really indicative of the fact that North Dakota is owned by pipelines. I remember owned by oil companies. I remember reading just the other day that North Dakota is basically run by the oil industry, the same way that the mafia controls certain assets and resources. And I believe that very much. And, I just coming up to today, I don't know if Brian and Dave, I don't know if you guys heard about what happened today. They had a peaceful prayer session out at a Dakota Access construction site. And they actually had crop duster planes flying overhead, releasing pepper spray or tear gas, we're not sure which it was, onto all the people below. And the cops came out, the police officers and came out. They were dressed out in full riot gear with military style weapons. They had semi-automatic weapons, and their guns were locked and loaded, even though none of the peaceful resistors had any weapons whatsoever. It was a prayer meeting, and all of that happened right in the midst of a group of Native people praying for the land and praying for the water. And that happened today, and that's where we're at. We can actually we have film footage. It's all over. You can watch it. Film footage of the cops having their guns locked and loaded on all of these peaceful people, but
Linda,
also
Linda,
footage of,
let me just break in here. Can you give people a good place to find information about what's going on there?
well, Facebook is probably the best place, although Facebook recently has gotten very they've sort of turned against us, I guess I would say, and that's become very a big contentious issue. But Facebook, and if you want to go to the Sacred Stone Camp page or the Red Warrior page, you'll find a lot of really useful video clips and information.
Sacred Warrior page and Red Warrior page on Facebook. What about your personal site? It's pretty simple to find, but you can't take any more friends. You're so popular now.
I can't take any more friends, but you can follow me on Facebook, and all of my content is public, so you'll be able to see it and follow everything that's going on as I get that information.
Yeah, and you'll be able to post, make comments on posts and read other people's comments. So it's still, the information is still there. If there's some new, development, some new initiative, it's a great way to follow what's going on there, because you're doing all sorts of really neat stuff, and it's a process that's evolving, right? You're getting more and more people coming in. You were saying I'm so impressed, how many people or how many places on Earth have representatives at this demonstration.
Yes, and when you go onto those sites or onto my page, you'll actually see we have hundreds and hundreds of flags from people who have come from all over the world, whether it's Samoa or Papua New Guinea. They've brought a flag with them, and we've hung those flags on flagpoles all throughout the camp, and it's really quite beautiful. But it's true. The camp has really evolved. In the beginning, it was all about protecting water and sacred sites and treaty rights, because the camp is located on land that was promised to stay as part of the Great Sioux Nation back with the Treaty of Fort Laramie. Of course, they stole that land, and that's why it's considered Corps of Engineers land now. It's managed by the Corps of Engineers, but it is treaty land, and therefore we consider that to be native land. And but things have really evolved, because we're putting up permanent and semi-permanent structures, even building an integrated medical clinic right there at the Sacred Stone Camp, to serve not just the needs of the people in camp, but the needs of everyone, with traditional medicine, a mixture of traditional medicine and other types of medicine. And so it's just become a really beautiful thing. People are putting up more permanent structures. A lot of people are buying gers, which are also known as yurts, and they're going to be putting those up. We have solar energy. We have wind energy. We're looking at permanent water filtration systems. We want to build a completely sustainable green community right there, for everybody to come together, and for everybody to know that not only can we live a different way, not only can we live in a better way, a way that's better for us, healthier for us, but also better and healthier for the planet, but we have to come together in this way, because I keep saying it, we are at the end of the age of fossil fuels. That age is over. We have expended that resource. We are now trying to squeeze every last drop of blood that we can out of our Mother Earth. And, we're getting more and more desperate for it, hence hydraulic fracturing and tar sands, which are, it's just dirty oil that destroys the planet. And it's not efficient. We're expending more energy extracting oil than the energy that oil is providing. It's ridiculous. And that's another thing that's causing the national debt. And, we have to,
find a better way. I keep having people tell me, well, we can't stop using fossil fuels. Everything runs on fossil fuels. But the fact is we have no choice.
We never needed fossil fuel, Linda. We never
No.
did.
Well, and that's what I said. We lived for, how long did we live without them? Of course.
Henry Fuel wanted to use alcohol, electricity, and hemp diesel in his automobiles. That was all hijacked by J.P. Morgan and his gang of thugs.
Exactly. Well, and that's another fact that I bring up. People think that the technology doesn't exist for cars that don't run on fossil fuels. Come on. It's existed for decades, and that technology is still being suppressed by the oil industry, by the fossil fuels industry, because they stand to, of course, make billions and billions of dollars. We don't need new fossil fuels infrastructure. It's just asinine.
Yeah, local is what we need. Basically, the foundation of everything on Earth has to become indigenous again. I'm not saying everybody has to join a tribe, but we have to do as we used to do, which was produce everything we need locally. That's housing, food, energy, education. Everything can be done locally now, especially with the internet. We don't even need schools. We can bring all the information right to the kids and have everyone, come together in classes like they used to in the schoolhouses, all the different grades. We don't need any of this government, Lynn. It's killing us. It's killing everything. The military-industrial complex is unbelievably destructive to this planet. And nobody even talks about it anymore, but we see it in Syria. We're on the verge of a third world war. Like, everything has to just be changed across the board. And your people knew how to live here. We came here, we took it all away, we destroyed it, and now finally, your people have finally got you've made the last. I see this as the last stand for humanity. This demonstration, this act of protection. I'm so incredibly thrilled and proud to be speaking with you, because your people are pretty much at the front end of saving this planet.
Well, I'm really honored to be on the show and to let everyone know what's going on and what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. And I'm also really honored to tell everyone to, come with us, take this journey with us. And, really there's no choice. Eventually everyone's going to have to join along. But, I hope people will enjoy it and look at it as an adventure and look at it as a really great way to, to do a good thing, to do a positive thing for the planet. I'm amazed, absolutely amazed sometimes at the messages of hate that I get from people, from just, average people. I'm not talking about people in the military. I'm not talking about police officers. I'm not even talking about people who are part of the oil industry, but just from average folks who, for some reason, believe mainstream media and have criminalized us as Native people, but also as peaceful resistors. We're being criminalized. And I get these terrible messages of hate from people, saying that we're trying to stop progress or trying to, take private land and things like that. It's just crazy. We have to come together. We have to join together. We have no choice.
No, I mean, we're basically destroying the planet. It's not, and this is something I wanted to ask if you're doing this too. I mean, every planet killer has to be addressed. We have to deal with the GMOs. We have to deal with the geoengineering. It sounds to me like you're being sprayed, with toxic chemicals. Well, folks, it happens every day all over the planet. We got
who did the spraying?
Sorry?
Who did the spraying?
We're not positive, but we do have some film footage, and people were able to get one of the helicopter numbers off of there.
Okay.
There was a helicopter up there too.
Need those because they're going to have some FAA problems.
I'll send you some information.
They're not allowed to roam around in the air and declare war against people in America. Right.
That's exactly what it is. They have declared war against us.
Well, you gotta, as long as you have to understand who it is that you're dealing with, and I'm listening to you talk, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you said anything wrong. I'm saddened by what I'm hearing because of what you've been led to believe. This is, I don't know the total scope of your knowledge, and I don't know the scope of the knowledge of most of the people who are listening right now. But I have to say, and I'm sorry to say this, but much of what I say during this show is not going to be aimed at the general population who really and truly doesn't comprehend much of what's happening. So I'm out here to get the information out, and then it's going to be up to the people who listen to figure out what it is until I can get a chance to make explanation available to people. I'm going to go on a few of your comments, okay? One of your comments was you used the word government. United States is not, in fact, a government. United States is a crown corporation in the City of London, and it has a governmental services contract with Rothschild's other family member in France called the International Monetary Fund. So United States is a government services contractor, and they're in breach of their contract, and they're claiming now that everybody has abandoned their land, their form of republic, the whole shooting match. And what they did was they're claiming this not because the people abandoned anything, but because the people were tricked into doing a bunch of things that actually removed their standing in law. Not in reality, but in this little micro world that they created. So if you have a birth certificate, if you have licenses, if you have voter registrations, you have basically committed treason against the Republic. They didn't tell you that. So all of the people who have birth certificates, because you were born, not birthed. The corporation was birthed. So if you have a birth certificate and you didn't jump through all the hoops to correct your status with the Vatican, which is who's behind this, you're considered dead. And dead entities have no standing in law. So what they're doing is they're dealing with incompetent imbeciles in their view of people who have no say. So what happens next is you have people protesting police. Well, without getting into really nasty comments, I'm just going to say that the police are just paid mercenaries. They're contractors. They don't have any jurisdiction over anything or anyone except those who are in contract with them. And that doesn't include you. Number two, and I'm going to skip ahead because you made a comment that you need to know about a little bit more. You mentioned treaty. Now, a treaty is a contract. And the treaty, if it was formed between you and these entities, and it is in fact in existence, it doesn't get broken, so to speak. You can breach your contract, but you don't need court cases for this. So if you and I form a treaty or a contract, and I'm going to give you something and you're going to give me something, and I don't come through with my end of the bargain, you don't need to go to a bar court, which is the Crown Temple Bar in the City of London. You don't need to go to them to come and take your property from me, because that's your property. So if you have people breaching that treaty and they're actually making these paramilitary strikes and assaults against you, that's a military act of terrorism. Because when you come in peace and they come in war, that's called terrorism, okay? And they can be treated exactly as such. Now, let me explain this really quickly. If, in fact, a corporation called Court of, County of, whatever, State of, those are corporations. Those are not government agencies. Those are corporations. If they can hire mercenaries to harm you, you have equal protection under the law. You actually have arrest power over them. In fact, actually do have rights over them where they don't have any over you. So the people behind this, when I say behind it, I mean behind the implementation, the actual implementors of this problem is the Crown Temple Bar. You have these psychotic people in the Bar Association as bankruptcy administrators under the International Monetary Fund are deciding to collect debts from you, the debtor. So all of those people that are camping out on that land, if they claim to be U.S. citizens, and I don't mean the foreigners, I mean the U.S. citizens, people who were born here, people with their connections to what they believe is rightfully U.S. They're all without any rights. Those are citizens or subjects of the crown because they didn't correct their status. And that's, again, only in their little micro world. So the treaty is, in fact, valid. The person who broke their end of the treaty is the one who's liable for all of the, any damages you would list for that. Now, you made another comment that there are these oil companies that own it. Well, I certainly do see the truth in what you're saying, but I just wanted to help you along with that. The oil companies are other corporations who are reaping the mineral content of the land. So part of the debt collection process is stealing the minerals. Now, they have certain mineral rights, but are really outdated. You go back to the Treaty of Peace, Treaty of Paris after the Revolutionary War, you'll find that the Americans didn't win any war, and the king always maintained control of the waterways and a lot of the commerce and as his interest in many of the minerals. So what's happening now is things have evolved through a series of bankruptcies since then. And the people who claim to be the ones who can collect this debt are doing so in fraud. And the reason they're getting away with it 99.99% of the time is because people are fighting them in their courts. And those aren't courts. Now, I want to take a few minutes to explain these very important things for everyone to hear, okay? There's paperwork that can be done to stop it at the Vatican level because they're in dishonor. The Vatican runs the Crown. And the Crown, the Vatican, and District of Columbia are all one corporation. The Crown is, they call it the square mile. It's just over a square mile in a place called London. And it's called City of London, or it's Vatican. So what they're doing is they are running this corporation, and you are just a problem for them that are in the way. And there are other little bennies that go along with their weird behavior, is that they're satanic. They're out to destroy the planet, and they're out to destroy people. And they're doing it. They're fracking the water. I'm only telling you things that you already know, but maybe you don't hear it the way I'm telling you. They're fracking through the groundwater, the water table. They're same group of people are responsible for all the nuclear facilities that are all leaking and failing. This is Kroll Industries. This is the Mossad, by the way. Rothschild is a Jesuit Zionist, and his banksters are the ones that are behind all this. And the Mossad runs the Department of Homeland Security, which is the boys from Israel, and they're in with the CIA. And then you have what they're doing is they're taking everything and destroying everything, and you're in the way. But what has to happen is you have to approach them in international law. where you can be recognized, but you have to do it the right way. And they're setting themselves up for contracts, which they won't be able to rebut the affidavits in the international law notices of claim. They won't be able to rebut them. So they're going to agree in contract with you for their crimes. Then you're going to be able to do the commercial lien process with their consent. Okay? Because there are a lot of people who just start throwing liens on people and they don't do it right and they get called paper terrorists, which I'm bringing that up on purpose because the paper terrorism is actually done against, there's a man in Canada who's being accused of paper terrorism. He's the one who's the victim of the paper terrorism. That's why the police are enforcing commercial code upon him, a living free man. So what it is you're all being regarded as commercial dead entities. I think you're following that. Now, in the court, let's talk about these courts that you walk into. There's a guy on a bench, the bank. He's a Crown Temple bar attorney, Middle Temple. That's United States, the Middle Temple in the City of London. The prosecutor is a Crown Temple bar attorney. The defense attorney or public defender, he is the bar attorney who protects the public from you. He doesn't protect you from them. Okay, so you have three major players, and they're all in the same Crown Temple bar, and none of them have registered with the Department of State as foreign agents. So everything that they do, and I hope you're hearing me, is null and void. They're getting you to consent every time you remain silent for X amount of time, X amount of ways. There's a lot of things you can do to really torpedo them hard, okay? So, are you in a court of law when you walk in and all of the three major players are in the same foreign agency called the Crown Temple Bar? No. That's a mock military tribunal, and you'll see the military capture flag, which is really a banner, with gold fringe around it. That's a military flag, the stars and stripes, and the one with the gold fringe around it out of proportion is a capture. It's administrative military martial law rule, and they're claiming the same status, state of affairs, since what you call the Civil War. It never was a civil war. It was a war of federal aggression. It had nothing to do with slavery. It had to do with stripping Americans of property rights. So now United States has been through 3 70-year bankruptcies. They're dead in the water. They're in underwater. That's it. So the problem that the people face over there is, as I see it, granted, many of the natives of the land, the people, the tribal people, they agree, in many ways that no one owns the land. But there are, in fact, court orders, decisions, what have you, and other things that have happened that demonstrate that these native people do, in fact, own that land. They have rights to the land. They're of the land. They're from the land. The people who are doing all of these bad things to them are not of any rights, okay? Then,
Hey, Dave, I'm just going to stop you there. Give Linda a chance to respond to your interpretation of events and their better standing in law. Linda, what's your sort of general reaction to what David's saying?
Well, I think that's all, of course, really interesting because, what we say and what we always put forth is that treaties are the law of the land, period.
yes.
And the fact that they haven't been, so something that you might not know, although you might, is that, of course, the United States government has made treaties with numerous sovereign entities over time. And they've kept those treaties, for instance, rebuilding Germany after the World War. But every single treaty they made with Native American, with tribes, has been broken. Every single one.
Yeah.
Some of them on the same day that they were signed.
Yeah.
And so, one of our biggest
goals, one of the things that we really have been working on since, well, forever, but I would say a lot more heavily since the 1960s, is getting the United States to recognize those treaties and to recognize our treaty rights.
Well, all right. The United States, you said. Now, you want the United States of America, the Republic, the people of the Republic to recognize it. The United States that you're talking about is a foreign, bankrupt, private corporation, like I said, in bankruptcy. That's the IMF. It's the same Zionist Jesuit banks. It's a pirate organization. They have nothing to do with a legitimate government. All they are is the Hudson Bay Company, the East India Company. They're the drug runners. They're the ones who are into all of the money laundering, the prostitution, all of the child and human trafficking and the death of all of these native people. And it's all the roads lead right to Rome. Okay? So what it is it's a criminal outlaw or a continuing criminal enterprise. And there are laws that are on the books and in effect, and real laws, international laws, that we can use to stifle them and shut them up so they can't come at anyone in equity because they won't have clean hands, right? They're using admiralty law. Only thing is they're not doing it properly because they're bringing you into these prisoner of war military tribunals as if you are a United States government employee.
Okay,
All
stop there.
U.S. citizens are United States government employees.
Okay, stop there. Linda, are you picking this up? This is a very new way of interpreting events legally, and I think everything David is saying is very accurate, and it could have a ramification if you listen to his advice on the way you're fighting your legal battles, and this is really important.
Yeah, and I think that's what I find most interesting is the fact that I've literally never looked at the United States that way.
Well, imagine I have a few minutes here and there, and we have this show that 2 hours is going to be like 15 minutes. There's going to be time that we have together to talk about this. And I'm going to say this, I guess, because of what Brian just said. This isn't just advice. I'm actually prepared with other people I know where we talked today. We're going to help you do this. We're going to actually help you do this. Now, here's what's going to happen also. There's a piggybacking kind of a deal going on. United States is, it's called United States of America 4, in all capital letters, of course, right? It's United States of America 4 because the first 3 70-year bankruptcies have been discharged to the future. There's a perpetuating debt. And you did mention something about debt earlier, and increasing the debt. Well, the increase of the debt happens by orders of magnitude per day because everyone is using the wrong money. You realize, of course, if you use Federal Reserve fictional fiat currency, you're perpetrating fraud and treason. And that's one of the things they use to get you as the enemy of the state. All U.S. citizens are the enemy of the state. So, back to the parallel. State of New Hampshire is not to be confused with the republic on the land called New Hampshire. State of New Hampshire has something in it that many states have in their state constitutions in the Bill of Rights. It's called petitions for redress of grievances. That's also mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, and it's mentioned also in the United States Constitution, the original one, okay? So, Articles 31 and 32 in the New Hampshire Bill of Rights state very clearly that they shall convene for the rights of the people to right the wrongs done them by their servants. But instead, the Bar Association wants you to go back to their admiralty maritime law courts. They don't want you to have access to a thing called the general court. So part of what I'm going to do is I will help you to do over in North Dakota and whatever other surrounding area is part of the problem, is that the State House members are in breach of their fiduciary duty by allowing these foreign agents to harm you. Now, remember, I'm skipping around, but I'm just going to say, hey, you guys are going to have to catch up on some of this later and ask me again, whatever. But United States is foreign to you. United States and state of, in all capital letters, is not the republic that you call home. It's a foreign corporation. So when your republic, the members, the servants that you elect, and you're not supposed to register to vote, by the way, you have the right to vote. Registration to voting makes you the enemy of the state. It's in Trading with the Enemy Act, 1933, FDR amended it so that all persons are enemies of the state. And I'll help you with this later. So the elected servants are in breach of their fiduciary duty for allowing and funding these foreign agents to harm you. They have no delegation of authority order, and they have no visible proof of registration as foreign agents, because they're all supposed to be under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, and they do not have licenses to practice law. They have no legislative authority to practice law. They have no mention of it in the statutes at large when they were lying all through Black's Law 1, 2, 3, 4, and up to 5 it got modified. They do not pass muster for the Naturalization Act of 1802. They're in violation of the Smith Act, the Clayton Antitrust Act, the Taft-Hartley Act. I could go on and on. In other words, what I'm telling you is the bar courts are nothing but pirate vessels washed aground, dragging you in is what we call impressment or press ganging. They're dragging you in, they're coercing you into the office of the person, and it's barratry, treason, kidnapping, piracy. It goes on and on and on. And there's a woman who writes about this fairly often. Her name is Anna von Reitz. She is from Alaska, and she lives over here on what we call the private side. Okay, your status needs to be all corrected, and we're willing to help you with that. We're going to help you with the international law notices of claim, and we're going to put stuff in the affidavits in these notices of claim in such a manner that they're going to be so overwhelmed by the weight of the truth in commerce that they're going to have to give up. Okay, and then we're going to start capitalizing on them and liquidating their assets. There's a way to do that. This isn't all this, blowing smoke and mirrors and hype talk.
Okay.
This is all simple stuff, and all of the people who are victims throughout the centuries, going all the way back to the original treaties, they need to meet with us. And I want to, this is genocide. I'm going to be man enough to admit that we all know it's wrong, and we all know that we should be helping and doing something, because we can't stand by and watch our brothers and sisters die here. But, that ruination of that burial ground, that really, that knocked me off the edge. I'm sorry, but it takes a despicable bastard to do something like that for a paycheck. I have a question for any of them, especially the spineless ones who might be listening in. How much do we have to pay you to ruin your own country for your own children? I think you need to check into a mental hospital. Whoever's listening, check into a mental hospital. I guarantee you wouldn't pass my test.
Okay, David. Beautiful.
So anyway, let me finish up here.
Okay.
What we need to do is to start the international law process, and then we can start doing things through their federal courts, only because it's going to put them in a position in their world, because we want to rock their world while we're doing the thing in international law. United States is foreign to you. It's not the United States of America that was originally formed. You're fighting the same people that we fought over 200 years ago. It's these crazy Rothschild, sick Vatican Jesuit bankers. Okay? These are they're hellions, they're satanic. They wear the black robe of Saturn, that's Satan. They deal with the dead, they call the all caps guy. This is a religious ritual. All these court cases are just like Catholic Church events. That's what you're dealing with is Rome. And in Rome, and the Catholic Church has nothing to do with Christianity. You have these crazy people hiding behind it. And these aren't white people. These are people hiding behind white people, just like they hide behind Jews. I guess what I'm telling you is it's even worse than you're thinking. And the way to deal with them is, I think we need to bring it out onto the mat. You're doing everything peacefully, and that's a beautiful thing. And everything that they're doing is terrorism. And I think we need to talk about the stuff that I don't want to say on the air because I don't want to tip them off. Because we need to hurt them financially.
Well, we're going to come up on break soon, David. So I just want to interject something here. I want to get Linda a chance to respond to it. But I think where we need to take this discussion next, because Linda is learning about all this stuff, is how do we get David in connection with this organizing committee for this water protection demonstration?
Yeah, like how do you get in touch with them? Well, I think that it'd probably be best to talk to a couple other organizers, in particular elders, because they really make all the decisions when it comes to these types of issues. And so, like anytime anything happens in camp, we say, go to the matriarchs, go to the grandmas. And that's where you're going to get all the answers. So I'll see if I can put you in touch with a couple of grandmas.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we want to use your organizational structure, and it's a long story. The thing is that everything we've learned about our history is a lie. But you see the connection. We'll get back to it. You see the connection to what happened to your people, the First World War, when they first came here in 1500. It's all still there. Okay, folks, we'll be back soon with more of I Am Nature, and if my guests can go in the text box, that would be great. Back soon, folks.
Just talk.
Welcome back, one and all, to I'm Nature. This is a pivotal, hopefully, history in the making show tonight. I have Linda Black Elk, who represents or comes from the same group of people who've organized this incredible demonstration in North Dakota at Standing Rock. It's got the basically the eyes and ears of the world, and together we have David William here, who's I consider him one of the top experts in the world, natural law. And the reason Native people haven't been losing in courts because the courts are owned by the Rothschild family and the bar, so it's kind of hard to win in their courts. But we can I think make a lot more headway using other vehicles. So we're getting into that discussion. But before we get back to it, and I want to actually talk more about the demonstration before we get back to the natural law. I have to say, thank you to Revolution Radio for having me on as a show host. I hope everyone supports Revolution Radio. Soon I'll be moving on to makingadifference.tv. And actually, Linda, I believe Linda has committed to putting a show on makingadifference.tv about what's happening in North Dakota. Is that true, Linda?
Yep, that's right.
That's fantastic. Because that would really help the station get moving. I've got some other incredible I've got a guy, Linda, who's like the Gandhi of Central and South America, Alberto Ruz. He has done more for the eco-village movement over the last 40 years than anybody I know. And he's somebody that you really must meet. And he would do so much for your community in terms of raising money, in terms of just coordinating with other experts all over the world on eco-village development.
That's great. We're always looking for new information. We're always looking for allies, friends.
Yeah, well, I got lots of them for you because he set up at least 5 down there in Mexico. But so, anyways, I just want to say to everyone who's listening to this show, I believe it's historic. I believe we're turning a corner here in terms of the whole fight, not just to get the natives back rights to their land, and they are the true custodians of this planet. They knew how to take care of this planet, folks. They did not wreak environmental havoc as we have done since we came here 500 years ago. They did not kill all the buffalo. They did not cut down all the trees. They did not destroy all the seed. People don't have to know. We have lost 94% of seed variety on this planet, folks. The U.S. has 3% native forests. We have done so much damage to Turtle Island. It's unbelievable. So we need them to come back and take back control, or work in a cooperative relationship with the white men that are here, because they know how to take care of this place much better than we do. And they have a proven track record of doing it. So please support Revolution Radio. Please subscribe to the archive. This show, I think, is going to hopefully go down in history as well, a turning point for this whole movement. Because once we get the right lawful, what's the word I'm looking for? Lawful process in place with David and his experts, which, by the way, charge no money. They're not like lawyers or work for the bar. They don't charge a thing because they want to fix this planet, folks. They are determined, and they know the law better than the lawyers do, the bar turners. So, anyways, let's take it. But I want to get back to the issue of this demonstration, because we kind of got into the natural law stuff, but I didn't quite finish all my questions for Linda about this demonstration and how much it's galvanized the world, and the kind of attention it's got. How many media organizations from how many countries have been to Standing Rock, Linda?
Oh gosh, I don't know that I have a number, but it's been hundreds of different media organizations. We're lucky to have consistent representation from a group called Unicorn Riot. If you haven't checked out their videos and their news clips, I highly recommend them. They're a fantastic group of people who are right there with us on the front lines. And Unicorn Riot have actually had members of their media arrested while they were standing on public land simply because they were filming what was going on. And so, we've had major violations of media and what their job is to do, which is, of course, to make the public aware. I think you guys know from Democracy Now! The host of Democracy Now! Was actually on the front lines with us the day that we were attacked by dogs and sprayed with pepper spray. And Amy Goodman, and she has, since a warrant has been issued for her arrest, simply for being there, as a member of the press, and for filming what was going on. She really shed light. For instance, she was able to film one of the women who were attacking us with dogs. She was actually able to film that woman encouraging the dog to attack us, and then filming blood on the mouth of the German Shepherd that had just bitten someone. And because of that, she has really been persecuted by the state of North Dakota. And of course, like I said, a warrant has been issued for her arrest. So we're having some, people in the media are actually afraid to come to us now because of that. So we're lucky that Unicorn Riot has stuck with us.
Well, they're trying to intimidate the media so they don't, the world doesn't know what's going on there and doesn't see the brutality.
Yes. And, I'm sure you guys all heard that Jill Stein also had a warrant issued for her arrest for vandalizing some bulldozers with spray paint and pretty pictures of flowers and things. And she had a warrant issued for her arrest. So they're trying to send out a message that people who are in the public eye should not come and stand with us. And, I hope no one will listen to that, but I'm sure people are a little intimidated by it.
Have you invited Donald Trump or Hillary to come to the demonstration?
We've invited everyone to come out. Unfortunately, we haven't had many Trump supporters out there. I'm not sure why.
Trump stands to make a lot of money on this.
Right. Well, and we've heard that Obama does too. So, and he has not
really spoken up for us either. We're very disappointed about that. He was actually in Cannonball a while back. I think a year before the pipeline went in, Obama was there. He was right there in Cannonball. He met our children. He hugged our children. He watched our he watched people dance and sing. He attended a powwow, and and then this happens, and he hasn't spoken up for us at all, and it's truly disappointing. I'm truly, truly disappointed in him and his silence on this issue.
Well, the presidential debate, there wasn't one mention. I think Hillary said one word about renewable energy. We need to get into renewable energy more seriously. But there wasn't one mention of anything other than the fact that they want to convert, from a little bit off of, oil and gas. But it's shocking that it's not even discussed. I mean, the planet is going under. And they can't even discuss it at the most important debate, supposedly. I mean, it's clear, folks, that we have to take back our governments, or basically put these corporations out of power. Because we're basically supporting death. A corporation is a dead entity. We have to create living corporations.
Well, there is a republic. There is a republic, but the people are so busy with their distractions in life that they're not taking care of business. So the foreign corporation called the United States of America 4 is running things. Obama, Hillary, they're a corporation on the District of Columbia. That's it. That's not a government. That's not a country. They're there specifically to collect the debt, to rob the minerals from the land.
Okay, Dave.
Now, another thing that Linda mentioned.
No, but I just want to stick with the events of the day and give a few other ideas before we get back to this. This is a pivotal thing, and I agree. But I just want to get a few other things in here because there's a couple things I want to suggest that might help them raise money and whatnot. Linda, has anybody talked about turning this thing into sort of like a Woodstock kind of event? Have a big party out there, a big celebration for the brave warriors. Attract more attention from the media, the entertainment business, the whole thing like that.
Well, so I think that we would probably say that camp is, for us, that type of place. But above anything else, first and foremost, it is a place of prayer. And so we don't want to turn it into a circus. We don't want to turn it into a media circus. We have ceremonial sites that are there. We have, people constantly conducting ceremony there. And so that's not something that we necessarily want turned into like a Woodstock. We do have concerts there. And we do have concerts off-site too. We have a casino down the street, and we've had benefit concerts there. When
I say Woodstock, I don't mean like a big rowdy thing. What I mean is that bring in music that you feel is appropriate, dance groups, drama groups, like turn it into like an arts festival. It's better than saying Woodstock.
Well, and we actually have been trying to plan that. It was sort of last minute, and we weren't able to get a whole lot of acts there, but we have had a lot of support. And so we're kind of, I don't know if you've heard it, but if you haven't, you should look it up. Neil Young actually wrote a song about the peaceful action that's going on. He wrote a song about the protectors, and it's called Indian Givers. So if you have time to look that up, you should. We're hoping to get people like Neil Young and Willie Nelson out on site to come stand with us.
Bruce Cockburn would be ideal.
Yes. Oh, I love Bruce Cockburn. He was on an Honor the Earth CD a long time ago. And I love his music. And yes, so it'd be great to have people like him out there. The Indigo Girls. There have been quite a few people who have expressed interest. We just need to get it together. So
beautiful, because the more we bring in everyone, we got to get this popular mainstream culture interested in this sort of event, because they've stolen the culture. We used to have a revolutionary culture around back in the 60s with the Vietnam War and whatnot. and they basically took over the media business and the entertainment media. And they basically, you want to get into that? A lot of people died, actually. A lot of the progressive artists, like the Jim Morrison of the Doors, or a lot of people were. I believe they were taken out. They didn't just die of natural causes, because they were promoting a different, more natural way of living, and looking at the government in a critical point of view. Or now I realize now it's actually just a bunch of corporations. There's no government. We haven't had government on Turtle Island since, well, you guys have hung in there, but you've been decimated. Other than that, we haven't had government. We've just basically been lied about our history and about what we did to your people. And we have to find a better way of living together, both the indigenous people as well as the people who came here without really your permission. We have to find a way to resettle things and re-equalize things in the long run. At least that's the way I see it. So
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is a pivotal question, I think too. I know that the movie Avatar, I think, is significant because it sort of lays out the groundwork for how we're going to fix this planet in a lot of ways. I love that movie, and one of the key themes of the movie is the fact that the natural people in the movie, depicted in the movie, turned the oppressors, one of them, around. And he became a hero for them, like a military person. Has there been any inkling from any of the people who are oppressing you, from the military or the police, that they sympathize with your cause?
Yeah, there absolutely has been a lot of support. And for instance, I don't want to get too specific because I don't want the gentleman to get in trouble and lose his job. But there was a particular member of law enforcement who was on camera, and when he heard about what had happened with the dogs and the pepper spray and the attacks, he almost started to cry. He and he even went so far as to apologize for what had happened. And we know that it is not individuals. It is not everybody. Any more than anyone can say, oh, you can't generalize. There are a lot of people who are supporting us. I know a lot of people can say, well, they can't say they're just doing their jobs because, who would do such a horrible thing? And I agree with that. I agree with what Dave was saying earlier. But there are people who haven't participated, who have refused to actually go to the front lines and stand against us, because they know that we are peaceful, and they don't want to be a part of the militarization of peaceful water protectors. And so we're very thankful for those people and thankful for the stands that they've taken.
But you haven't had anyone cross lines, like somebody from the military or the police, come and support you at the demonstration. Say, hey, I'm used to be in the police. I used to be in the military. I'm 100% behind you. I realized what I was doing was wrong. That hasn't happened.
I don't think so. We always, we never let the lines get that delineated because we are always the first. There's some really beautiful footage that you can find online of, there was a peaceful direct action up in Bismarck, North Dakota, and this line of police officers dressed in riot gear basically march in very formally, and then all of a sudden you just see all of these Native people, a hugely long line of Native people, walk up to them and start shaking their hand and thanking them for their service and thanking them for being there. And it's kind of funny to watch because they're very put off by it. They're very caught off guard by the kindness that we always exhibit, by the peaceful prayer that we always try to put forward. And that's, throughout all of this, it's very easy for us to get angry, and it's very easy for us to want to take, to make mistakes. But we know we can't. We absolutely do not have the luxury. We often bring up Cliven Bundy in camp, and, his action out in Oregon. And the fact is, if we as Native people had shown up to these actions, if we showed up with that kind of weaponry, we would have been blown off the face of the earth.
there's, the only reason I think that we are alive and that we are still standing is because we have come as peaceful. We've come walking in prayer. That's what we always do. Even after I was pepper sprayed, an elder who had also been pepper sprayed looked at me and she said, "Walk in prayer." She said, "Don't get angry, walk in prayer." And that's just what we have always done. And so I think, if I sound overly calm, that's why, because I know that for my children, for our future generations, for the next 7 generations, because that's how far we think ahead. These oil companies, the state of North Dakota, they can only think about the few bucks that they're going to make today. We think 7 generations ahead, and that's why we have come at this from a place of prayer.
And that's why you kept this beautiful place, what you call Turner Island, which we call North America, pristine and completely whole and natural for 7,000 generations. And we've, in a very short time of 7 generations, pretty much trashed the whole thing.
Right. And, we participated in the landscape a lot. A lot of tribes practiced agriculture. A lot of tribes, hunted, of course. But we've been here so long from the very beginning, and many people, different creation stories, but the Lakota, for instance, came up from a cave called Wind Cave in the Black Hills. And we've just been here so long that we know Mother Earth and we know what's needed. And we don't consider ourselves to be separate from nature and from Mother Earth. We are a part of the cycle. We are a part of everything. And, it's because, when colonizers came here, they have removed themselves so far from Mother Earth. They just think they're separate from it. They don't see the impact that they have with every step that they take. And that's very sad. I feel very sorry for people who don't see the impact that they have, because they then can't see the blessings that Mother Earth gives them back with every step they take. And so, I think we need to get back to that and get back to that understanding.
Well, it's the foundation of everything I do and I believe in my essay, Practical Guide to Fixing This Planet. Is all about reinstating the indigenous way as the foundation. Now, if people want to get into technology and computers and all that kind of stuff, add that to their culture, that's fine. But we have to do things in a way that doesn't hurt the mother, because she's our first mother. After that, women like you have their children, beautiful women, beautiful children. That's the second mother. But our first mother, we're not really free, are we, Linda? We're not free on this planet. We must adhere to natural law before we can be free.
It's true. Yep. And we're definitely paying the price for what, for the mistakes that we've made. And, all I can say is that I hope that people see that and are ready to move away from that, so that we can, get back to a beautiful way of living, and not just get back to, but create something new and amazing with what we have left. I believe that we can get there. I truly do. I truly believe that we can start respecting the planet and still, have all of these beautiful things that have been created. I love being able to communicate with people from across the ocean. And I would hate to give that up. I would hate to give up that diversity and that unity. But I believe that we can do that. We can still have all of that, but in a good way, in a way that respects Mother Earth.
Oh, yeah, and there's many, many examples of eco-villages, and I'm not sure if your tribe, I guess this is your first, journey into creating an eco-village, but there's many that have been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I've had them on my show. Finhorn is one of the better ones, more advanced ones. They've got a huge organization called Global Eco-Village Network, and they've got, thousands of eco-villages that are starting are setting an example for all of us, because we really have to all, I believe everyone should grow their own food if they can. Even if you live in an apartment, you can put a garden in your window. I mean, you
Yes.
can become a member of a community garden.
Well,
Because
yep, I'm an ethnobotanist, like you said earlier in the show, and so that means that I basically teach and study the ways that people use plants for food, medicine, building materials, whatever. And that's something that we do. That the people of Standing Rock are amazing. They still have a very strong connection to the land, very strong. That's why I think it happened here. Is because the people of Standing Rock have this strong connection to the land still, strong connection to their culture and to their language, and to ceremony. So Brian, it's about that time. I'm sorry to say, but my baby needs me.
nursing mother, yes. Well,
Yes,
I
I'm so
totally
sorry.
respect that. I totally respect that, and I'm so happy that you've stayed this long on the show and being so committed. But we will definitely stay in contact, and I'm so thrilled that you want to come on Making a Difference TV and put a show on there about what you do, your ethnobotany. We didn't even touch on that, but that's a fascinating subject. And I've got Ayurvedic people coming on. I'm sure you'll find you could contrast knowledge systems there too. So it's just you're
Right.
going to be an amazing addition to the lineup at Making a Difference TV. And thanks so
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming.
much. Thank you so much for having me on, Dave. It was so nice to visit with you and learn from you. And I hope that I will talk to you guys again soon.
Yeah.
Well, you certainly will. Okay.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night, guys.
Okay, you too. Thanks again for
Right.
coming on. Okay, David, let's why don't we bring Gerald on now?
Okay.
I'm going to grab him here. Wow, you made some awesome suggestions.
Well, they need to be done. Suggesting them really is kind of.
Well, it's a start. It's an opening start. We've got a door open to the clan mothers, and we have to, present a strong case to them that, there's another way of dealing with these issues. Other courts, other procedures, other strategies, and explain how it's going to work. So,
Well,
Gerald, welcome
right
to
now.
Nature. Are you there, Gerald?
Yes, I am.
Oh, here he is.
Okay, Sydney is on the other line. He's just on the line with me. Is there any way that he can phone in and participate?
Well, Linda just left because she is a nursing mother, and she did a great job. But she ran out of time. Sydney could try calling in. Do you guys have the phone number? I think I told it to you before. The same number we had last time, and I can pick him up.
Yeah, he just hung up.
I've got about half an hour left. The phone number for the Revolution Radio, I can check. I can look for it. But Gerald, why don't you call? What's your? Were you listening to Linda Black Elk?
I tried to contact you guys ever since 8 o'clock, and I couldn't get in.
Okay.
And
So
you're the guy. You're the one that contacted me so that I could get in. But I tried doing that with my Skype, and I couldn't get in.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were listening to it on your computer at freedomslips.com. Okay.
No. You said that you were going to call me in Skype so that I could participate. So I waited for your call all this time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Well, yeah, there was just a bit of a misunderstanding. But I'm glad you're here. Linda sort of reviewed what was going on there and how it's become a focus of pretty much saving the planet around the world. They have the eyes and ears of the world. It's becoming a permanent eco-village that's going to teach the world how to return to the garden. And David did a masterful job of explaining how his approach, which is a variety of vehicles that are not being explored by their legal advisors. So I'm hoping I can get you in to talk to the clan mothers as well. We're going to try to organize a meeting between David and the clan mothers who are sort of running the show there in Standing Rock.
Okay, good. That is good. And if somehow or other you could get a hold of the BC Indians and also Ralph Goodwin, because Ralph Goodwin is already got the legal papers in there to the United Nations, and the BC Indians are well aware, and this is what Standing Rock must learn, must hear exactly what the BC Indians have done.
Okay, well, why don't we review that? What have they done? What would you like to share with the listeners?
Well, to begin with, what you guys are talking about is the law. Each one of us that is on the phone call is that we know that each one of you could be under the umbrella of the law. In the court of law, there's two words that we have to look at. You have to be in law or at law. So at law means the difference between lawful and legal. Lawful is the spirit of the law. Legal is the letter of the word, the form of law, the operation of law, the color of law. So when you become legal, it flows from the law.
Okay, let me just ask David what my understanding is David has a little bit different interpretation. He's saying legal actually is against God's law.
Precisely. Now, the word license is David there.
Yes.
Okay, what does license mean then, David?
Well, a license is something that you need to have that would ordinarily or otherwise be against the law or illegal. So, okay.
There you go.
So who
that's
made
what a
it illegal?
license. Precisely. And in United States, do not forget, in United States, when we're talking about the Constitution, which was written by the people, for the people, and whatnot, but they wrote another Constitution in 1871, which formed a shadow government, and the shadow government was devoted specifically to Washington, D.C. Now, there's two sets of laws. In the United States and in Canada, there's two sets of laws. Which one are you talking about in regards to what you are trying to identify, David?
I'm not sure of your question, so let's play help the dummy here. Reword that. I want to make sure I answer your question.
Let me say it in a very simple way. The government in the United States and the whole shebang is completely fraudulent and illegal.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that fall under the 1871 Constitution. Karen Hudas, who used to work for the World Bank, blew the whistle on that. And United States is operating under the Constitution of 1871 that created the shadow government. So this becomes our enemy. It's your enemy. Now tell me, David, when you're going to be writing anything that's lawful, who are you going to attack? Constitutional wise or the Constitution of 1871?
Well, I'm not going to do either.
You have to?
Well, no. The people who are harming the Aboriginal people of this land they're pirates. They're foreign entities.
It's been proven, yes, David, exactly what you're saying. We already knew that.
But they're terrorists, see.
Yes,
and what they're doing
we've been proving that.
Well, we have enough on them to prove that their very existence proves that we're crazy for not arresting them. Okay.
Because for the simple reason they're under the protection of the Constitution in 1871. They
Well, no,
have,
they're not.
yes, they are.
They would have been under the
They
protection.
are.
They would have been under the protection of the Constitution from back in 1789. However,
Oh, you're
or,
missing the point. You're
no,
missing the
no,
point and you're evading it.
no, they don't have any lawful right to do anything in 1871.
There you go. That's precisely the point that I want to bring to your
See, you guys are
attention.
just using a little bit different. You know, the thing about laws, it's so precise. So yeah, try to find common ground, guys. Yeah,
Well, we're not arguing.
Yeah.
He's trying to say something, and he's a different man than I am. That doesn't mean we disagree.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You're right. You know, that's why we all have to get together to air it out.
Yeah.
I don't care at all about the Constitution when it comes to what they're doing. What they're doing is committing genocide, and that means that we can stop them by wrapping our hands around their throats. We don't
Oh,
need any kind of legal anything to do it.
all right. Now, David, would you please give us a solution
Yes,
and give us the step-by-step approach?
I have one.
Because I can tell you right now, the step that you are proposing is not going to work. Period.
Well, it won't work only because of the 350 million people between the States and Canada. You might have 50 who would actually do it. The rest are watchers and spectators, and they're eating peanuts up in the gallery. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to make the people who are doing the harm, we need to give them offers of contract 3 times, 3 notary presentments, and they're going to get an international law notice of claim. And their crimes are going to be in there in form of affidavits. And they're going
It's
to have.
already been done in that way. What you're just suggesting.
Well,
And
I
those
wouldn't
doc-
undermine.
No, no,
what-
just a moment, just a moment. Those documents that you're talking about they have never went to the real people that you are addressing to.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, they stopped it.
Well, I'm not interested in undermining what was already done. What I'm saying is it needs to be done again, and it needs to be done over a period of a few months. And then what needs to happen is they need to be stopped in their ability to rebut anything because they're all criminals. And I can get them to admit to the crimes all within 90 days. Then what you do is you take this sealed contract, which is now done, and the truth is what will prevail in commerce. Okay? So then what we do is we put the commercial liens on them because they're going to give us their consent to do it because they will not be able to rebut the affidavits.
In order for you to be able to go to a commercial lien, you must first of all put them on default.
Well,
How are you going?
yeah.
How are you going to? How are you going to be able to prove the statements that you're making is
They're going to
acceptable?
be given 3 international law notices of claim by way of notary.
It's already been done.
But not this way.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Well, I haven't seen 3 notary. Show me 3 international law notices of claim via notary presentment, and I'll say okay. But then we still have to do it again anyway because whatever was done then now has grown and gotten bigger and uglier. And I mean, it has really gotten bigger and uglier over the last 10 years.
We understand exactly. There's no need. There's no need for rhetoric in order for us because we
Right.
have been subjected this
Yes.
genocide for over 500 years. So
Yes.
there's nothing for you to remind us regarding this. But what
So-
I'm telling you,
But anyway, to
what
finish
I'm telling you,
But
what I'm telling you though is Meredith Quinn already did it.
right. But anyway,
And
after
Evelyn,
the 3 international law notices of claim, then
but
the commercial liens, then you have to turn those negotiable instruments into liquid and liquidate them.
I know what you're talking about because this is the very nature of the discussion that we had over the radio program that we're discussing with judges and lawyers. One lawyer in particular that was 80 years old who wrote to the United Nations in 2009. The documents that she submitted to the United Nations is she got 749 Indian nations back into the Creator's law, David.
Yep.
And she phoned Obama. Obama agreed. Obama told Evelyn Larson to talk to his lawyer harder. And Obama said, we have money set aside here for any Indian nation to set up their own legal system. Hello, we have
Yeah.
already done that.
Okay. Well, but something didn't happen because
Because the next step is they're in default.
Okay, but something on that end, if that has been done, whoever is involved with that needs to foreclose. Okay, they need to foreclose. So nothing. I don't wish to undermine, have any negative, positive remarks at all about what happened or what was already done. That's anything I could do to help, sure. But what I want to do is separate and aside from that. It's going to be done a different way. And basically, we're dealing with pirates and criminals, not honorable people. Okay,
Oh, we
and
know
I don't.
that.
Yeah, but I don't even want to treat them like honorable people. I
We
have
know
no
that.
interest. I have no interest in them. I think that they should be, imprisoned, just to give them a stroke of good luck is to stick them in a prison. Okay.
Well,
Now,
Meredith, I told you before. Meredith Quinn did that. I told you before.
yeah.
In his capacity as an international legal advisor, he was in a capacity to be able to lay out exactly the law which are going to come from our people of North America.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
So,
But I have no dispute with that. None. What I'm trying to say is that what I want to do is separate and aside from that. Okay. Because it isn't only these people, as Linda Black puts it, the Lakota people. It's not only them who are being victimized. And what's also happened is these crazy Vatican Zionist Jesuit crazies need to be hit hard in the wallet so that no matter what they do or what they try, they won't be able to fund anything. We can no longer coexist with these people. What they're doing is going for broke. They know they're running out of time, meaning sometime between now and the year 2030, 2035 or so. All of their ugliness is supposed to come to fruition. I don't feel like waiting around for the grand finale if the grand finale is going to be lit up under my feet. And we need to do something. And we have to comprehend that we're not going to get anywhere until we start prosecuting them. They don't listen to anybody unless they're getting prosecuted. And we can't do it in their bar courts.
were you not listening? I told you that Meredith Quinn already opened the door so that we can go ahead and prosecute
I heard that clearly.
according to
I said
law.
I have no dispute with that.
Well, why don't you follow that up
Well,
in regards to what it is? And what I'm saying to you, David, is listen to what our people in North America who had this problem for 500 years, why don't you go and ask them on a personal level on the people that know and understand exactly the process that needs to take place?
Well, I'm not in disagreement with that. Is why I keep reiterating that. What I want to do is separate and aside from that on top of it. I want to bury them, Gerald. I don't want to give them a shovel of snow. I want to drop the whole boatload on them. I want to bury them
Yes.
because I don't want them here on my planet. Okay? I'm not a
Well, what
pacifist.
do you think is
I'm
it?
really not a pacifist. I
Well,
don't want them here. I mean, in fact, I'm going to
well,
take a lot of the stuff that you suggest very seriously as a token of my appreciation for what you have to contribute. Just so you can tell them he's not a pacifist and he's listening to us. Why don't you cooperate? Because I'm not going to give too much more time to this. I've already made a
no,
decision. My life on this planet,
because
my life on this planet
no, you see,
is very similar to other people's lives that I know personally. And what we've done is we've implemented a change to bring back control of the law to the people on New Hampshire. And what's happened is the
who does a law big? Who
okay,
does a law?
hang on,
Who does a
I'm not even
law? Who
I'm not
does a law? Excuse me, David.
I'm not done yet.
Please take
I'm
a.
not done yet.
Let him finish, Gerald. Let him finish this thing about
Back
New Hampshire.
in New Hampshire, after we corrected the law, what was missing from the Constitution, and now the state Constitution has a Bill of Rights, and there are Articles 31 and 32 in it that guarantee the right to control the servants through the general court. What they did was they resuspended the Constitution. That means, out of the goodness of my heart, and I'm not talking big here, I'm just talking because I decided to try to look at this from another direction. I didn't go in there and cuff these imbeciles up myself. And I'm this far from thinking about that because what they've done is they've completely overridden the law because they decided to do what the bar, the Crown Temple bar, is telling them. I look at them as terrorists, and that's it. These are not people I want to meet with briefcases and jackets and ties in a courtroom. These people need to be handled in a certain way. They're diseased rats. They don't belong on the planet with us. But I'm going to actually go along with the peaceful method just so I can say, hello, I tried. Okay?
Exactly.
That's what I'm going to do.
Good, David.
Because
Okay.
when I decide that I'm getting nowhere in the peaceful method, and I look at everybody's face, and they're all looking at me like, well, gee, I guess for the people who want to do things peacefully, that's when I'm going to break the peace, because I have to do my job. My job is I'm watching my daughter's world get ruined by these stinking, psychotic Jesuits from the Vatican and their stinking Crown Temple bar in the city of London. You know, I think that the people who are protesting in the Dakotas, I think they ought to get on a cruise ship and head right over to the city of London. I think that's where they ought to be, because they're arguing in the wrong place.
Or start a demonstration there as well. Okay, let's let Gerald say a few things because we got about 8 minutes left here.
I agree with you, though, Gerald, by the way. Just so you'll know, for the record, I agree with you. And I'm going to take a very close look at what Meredith...
Well, I want you guys to work together. I want
breath
Gerald to share the paperwork with you, what they've submitted.
All I can tell you is, Gerald, honest, I'm going to go along with you. I'm telling you that right in front of everybody. I'm going to go along with you.
Would you please take a breath and let me say something?
Go ahead.
Would you please take a breath and let me say something?
Again,
Gerald.
Number one, the Indian people do not belong in a white man's court.
No, they don't.
Period.
They don't.
Okay, but this is what you're suggesting, that they do it through that.
No, I didn't. I told you not to go through their courts because they're not courts. It's not a white man's court. It's a pirate vessel.
But that's... Would you please listen?
Well, as long as you don't
Maybe you'll understand exactly where we're... Just listen, please. I'm talking about the Creator's Law. Ask the North American Indians about that and see where they stand regarding that in regards to law. They know exactly what they want to do. In regards to that, now please tell me in Latin what that law is. that the courts are enforcing in United States.
Oh, you're talking about when they come in as the superior over
Nope.
there.
I didn't ask you that. Nope.
Well,
Nope.
you said the law.
I said yes. I said what is the superior law that governs all people here on earth?
That's
And nobody.
that's God's law.
What is it called in Latin?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that I don't
Well,
need to
that's
read.
we know. I told you before, the other times I was talking to you, we as Indian people, North America, we need to go towards Giche Manitu Uyesawe Win, write our affidavit on a piece of paper regarding what you're suggesting, write it on a piece of paper. And this is where the North American Indians are coming from collectively with one voice, one heart, one mind, all collectively joined together in solidarity.
Gerald, what does that mean in English?
Giche Manitu, it means in Latin, pactum de singularis caelum, which is the Creator's law.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's the substance of the law?
Pardon me?
What's the substance of the law?
The substance of the law is animals, birds, sea creatures, plants and trees, insects, earth, wind, water, and fire. Everything that's under creation is substance, sir.
Okay. Does it do no harm fit in there somewhere?
Pardon me?
Does do no harm fit in there?
Well, if you just took the time for me to explain in the ancient documents that the monarchs of Great Britain had written in their documents, they specifically said that the North American Indians are their allies. All right?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And in their documents, they have a clause they call bad man standing. All right?
Okay.
A lot of American Indians are using that law, and they're winning court cases. Do you hear me, David?
Yeah, no, that's good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The bad man clause.
I'm just concerned with the part about court cases involving the crown stripping minerals from the land at the expense of the people.
Don't go there. Don't go there, Dave.
Okay.
Don't go there, Dave, because we as Indian people know exactly what we're doing. We're going to use the Creator's law. And we're going to make the people understand exactly where we're coming from in regards to this. They're going to have to rebut every statement that we make and to prove it to see whether or not their law is far superior than ours.
Their law is superior to ours.
They have to prove it.
Well, their law is a sword. Okay. That's the problem. They're pirates.
No, it isn't. Not for us. Not for us, for you. But for us, we're willing to stick our neck out and to go into the front line and be ready to be shot at, because in our possession, beating in our hearts is the Creator's law. And we're going to bring our pieces of paper that dictate to all the people, United States, the number one issue is that the white people, United States, is going to have to come to that decision and declare unequivocally that they stole our land. Now, if you did that, David, in your statement, you will get someplace.
Well, that would have to go in there anyway. That would have to be right near the beginning of it.
Well, I'm talking about the white people. I'm talking about the general public.
Gerald, do you know that Turtle Island is sitting in a trust, the Rothschild Trust, in entirety?
Well, of course, we knew that.
Yeah.
The elders were talking. You see, that's the type of thing you guys think whatever it is that you're thinking we don't know, but we already know this.
Okay. Well, no,
Well,
most people don't.
I don't think you don't know it. I'm sitting back on the sidelines.
Okay, guys, we're at the end of our show here, but if you want to hang on, we'll talk a bit more after the show. Gerald and David, I'll just